Present here. The Secret of Getting Ahead is Getting Started by Mark Twain. Myself, Divyashree B.R., Department of Commerce, Assistant Professor, Jnanajyoti Evening Degree College, welcome you all to the beautiful session today. It's my privilege to extend my warm greetings to Mr. Swaminathan, sir, and management, and my beloved principal, and my dear participants, as well as my colleagues. To the webinar which is conducted today now, that is impact of moratorium on financial markets and tax system. I'm very pleased that we have received the participants to across the nation for this webinar, and I would like to thank all the participants who have received our invitation and joined us today. The main intention that we have taken initiative and plan to take this topic is that the pandemic that have disturbed the whole world today, and the impact, we would like to discuss the views of the impact on our financial markets as well as the tax system. Thank you. So we will have a small video about our college, about our institution. So I would like all the participants and the panelists to watch it. Thank you. Thank you, all participants, for watching this video. Now I request our beloved principal, Mr. Ramesh, Assistant Professor, to address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಶರಣಾರ್ಥಿ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ವಿಶ್ವ ಪರಿಸರ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆಯ ಹಾರ್ದಿಕ ಶುಭಕಾಮನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಹರ್ಷ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಪಡಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಆತ್ಮೀಯರೇ, ಜ್ಞಾನಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಸಂಜಯ್ ಪದವಿ ಕಾಲೇಜು, ಯಲಹಂಕ ಉಪನಗರ, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು 2 ದಿನಗಳ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರ ಮಟ್ಟದ ವಿಚಾರ ಸಂಕಿರಣಕ್ಕೆ ತಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮ ವಿದ್ಯಾಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಆಡಳಿತ ಮಂಡಳಿ, ಕಾರ್ಯಕಾರಿ ಮಂಡಳಿ, ಅಧ್ಯಾಪಕರಿಂದ ಹಾಗೂ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಹೃದಯ ತುಂಬಿ ಸ್ವಾಗತವನ್ನ ನೀಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯನ್ನ ಪಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆತ್ಮೀಯರೇ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮಾತೃ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಾದಂತಹ ವೀರಶೈವ ಶ್ರೀ ಈಶ್ವರ ಸೇವಾ ಸಮಿತಿಯು 1987ರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆಯಾಯಿತು. 2002ನೇ ಇಸ್ವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪರಮ ಪೂಜ್ಯನೀಯ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರತ್ನ ತ್ರಿವಿಧ ದಾಸೋಹಿ ನಡೆದಾಡುವ ದೇವರು ಅಂತಾನೆ ಖ್ಯಾತರಾಗಿ ಈ ನಾಡಿನ ಅಸ್ಮಿತೆಯನ್ನ ಎತ್ತಿ ಹಿಡಿದಂತಹ ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಗಳ ಅಮೃತ ಹಸ್ತದಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ವಿದ್ಯಾಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಅಡಿಗಲನ್ನ ಹಾಕಲಾಯಿತು. ಅವರ ದಿವ್ಯ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸಮಿತಿಯ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾರ್ಯಕಾರಿ ಮಂಡಳಿಯ ಪದಾಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳ ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ, ಹಾಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೋಧಕೇತರ ವೃಂದದವರ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಶ್ರಮದಿಂದಾಗಿ ಜ್ಞಾನಜ್ಯೋತಿ ವಿದ್ಯಾಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಇಂದು ಪೂರ್ವ ಪ್ರಾಥಮಿಕ ಶಾಲೆಯಿಂದ ಮೊದಲುಗೊಂಡು ಸ್ನಾತಕೋತ್ತರ ಕೇಂದ್ರದವರೆಗೆ ಬಹು ವಿಸ್ತಾರವಾಗಿ ಹರಡಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆ ಮತ್ತು ಹರ್ಷವನ್ನ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಪಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈ ನಿಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜ್ಞಾನಜ್ಯೋತಿ ವಿದ್ಯಾಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಿಂದ ಸಹಸ್ರಾರು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ಈ ಸಮಾಜದ ಒಬ್ಬ ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮ ನಾಗರಿಕರಾಗಿ ಹೊರಹೊಮ್ಮಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಎನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ನಮಗಂತೂ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆ ಮತ್ತು ಧನ್ಯತಾ ಭಾವವನ್ನ ಹೊಂದುತ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಬಂಧುಗಳೇ, ಈಗ ಭಾರತ ಮತ್ತು ವಿಶ್ವ ಹಿಂದೆಂದೂ ಕಾಣದಿರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸಂಕಷ್ಟದ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯನ್ನ ನಾವು ಎದುರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಕೊರೋನಾ ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ವೈರಸ್ ಇಡೀ ವಿಶ್ವದ ಚಿಂತನೆಗಳನ್ನ, ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯನ್ನೇ ತನ್ನ ತೆಕ್ಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಡಿಕೊಂಡಿರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸಂದಿಗ್ಧ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಭಾವದಿಂದಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ವಲಯದ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಆಗಿದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ವಲಯದ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಆಗಿದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಶೈಕ್ಷಣಿಕ ವಲಯದ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಹಾಗೂ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ವಲಯದ ಮೇಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಬಹುದೊಡ್ಡ ಆಘಾತವನ್ನೇ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಗಮನಿಸ್ತೇವೆ. ಬಹುಶಃ ನಾವು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಕೂಡ ಇಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಸಂಕಷ್ಟ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಳಗಾಗ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ದೃಷ್ಟಿಕೋನ ಬಹುಶಃ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನಾನಂತೂ ಭಾವಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಈ ನಿಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾರತ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಆತ್ಮನಿರ್ಭರ್ ಭಾರತ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಯೋಜನೆಯನ್ನ ಆಯೋಜಿಸಿ ಆ ಮೂಲಕ ಭಾರತದ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಒಂದು ಚೈತನ್ಯವನ್ನ ತುಂಬುವಂತಹ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಭಾರತೀಯ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಕೂಡ ಹಲವಾರು ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಯೋಜನೆಗಳನ್ನ ರೂಪಿಸಿ ಭಾರತದ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಶಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸುಧಾರಿಸುವಂತಹ ನಿಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಲವಾರು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನ, ಯೋಜನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಆಯೋಜಿಸಿರುವಂತದ್ದು ತಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಈ ನಿಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ಭಾರತೀಯನ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ಹಿಂದೆಂದಿಗಿಂತನೂ ಕೂಡ ಬಹಳ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನಂತೂ ಭಾವಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕ ಬಂಧುಗಳೇ, ಸಮರ್ಥ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರ ರಕ್ಷಕ ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಮಾತಿದೆ. ಒಬ್ಬ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಎಂತಹ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಸಂದಿಗ್ಧ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಹೊಡೆದೋಡಿಸಬಹುದು. ಅದು ಭಾರತದ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಹೋರಾಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಜಪಾನಿನ ಮೇಲೆ ಆದಂತಹ ಅಣುಬಾಂಬಿನ ದಾಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಲ್ಲಿನ ನಾಗರಿಕರನ್ನ ಜಾಗೃತರನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನದಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ದೇಶದ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾರತದ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕ ಬಂಧುಗಳ ಸೇವೆ ಬಹಳ ಅಮೂಲ್ಯವಾದದ್ದು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕನ ಮಾತಿಗೆ ಅದರದೇ ಆದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಪಾವಿತ್ರ್ಯತೆ ಇದೆ. ಈ ನಿಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಶಿಕ್ಷಕ ಬಂಧುಗಳು ಈ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರದ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ನಾಗರಿಕನಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಆರೋಗ್ಯದ ಬಗೆಗಿನ ಅರಿವನ್ನು ಮೂಡಿಸಬೇಕು. ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ನಡಾವಳಿಗಳನ್ನ, ನಮ್ಮ ನಡೆನುಡಿಗಳನ್ನ, ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿತ್ವವನ್ನ ಮತ್ತಷ್ಟು ಗಟ್ಟಿಗೊಳಿಸಿಕೊಡಬೇಕಾದಂತಹ ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ ನೀಡಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಈಗ ಎದುರಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಭಾರತದ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಸಂಕಷ್ಟದ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಯೋಜನೆಗಳೇನಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಯುವ ಶಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ರೂಪಿಸುವಂತಹ ಪದವಿ ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ನಾತಕೋತ್ತರ ಪದವಿ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳನ್ನ ರೂಪಿಸುವಂತಹ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿಯುತವಂತಹ ಹೊಣೆಗಾರಿಕೆ ಪದವಿ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ಅಧ್ಯಾಪಕರಾದಂತಹ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲಿದೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಹೊಣೆಗಾರಿಕೆಯನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಜ್ಞಾನಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಸಂಜಯ್ ಪದವಿ ಕಾಲೇಜು ಅರಿತುಕೊಂಡು ಭಾರತದ ಈಗಿನ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯನ್ನ ನಾವು ಗಮನಿಸ್ತಲೇ ಈಗಿನ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೊರಟೋರಿಯಂ ಆಫ್ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಶೀರ್ಷಿಕೆ ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾರತ
Hello. 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 It is audible, sir? Nagesh sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir,
continue, madam. Next, continue.
Okay. Thank you, sir. You have given a good information regarding the topic. Now I request Ms. Megha, Department of Commerce, to introduce the speaker for the today's session. Over to you, Megha.
Thank you, Divya ma'am. Good morning, one and all. It's my privilege to introduce today's resource person, Mr. Swaminath S., who is working as Assistant Professor in Government First Grade College, Kengeri, Bengaluru University. He is pursuing PhD in Department of Commerce, Bangalore University. He has obtained gold medal and Indian Commerce Association Jharkhand for role of green credit and its impact on industrialization and empirical study in selected industries in Bangalore city in the year 2015. He has also got Best Paper Awards for his research work in various topics. One of them is Current Account Deficit, Corrective Measures and Strategies in Students' Perspective, and so on. He is an executive committee member of Indian Accounting Association, Karnataka branch from academic year 2019 to 20. He worked as facilitator in NAC peer committee visit in the year 2016 at Department of Commerce, Central College campus and Bangalore University. He has also worked as deputy custodian for PG examination for BU from 2014 to 16. Overall, he has published 7 ISBN publications and ISSN publication in research area. Very nice to have you, sir, in this session.
Yeah.
Kind attention to all the participants. If participants have any queries related to the session, please do post in the chat box. It will be clarified in the last 15 minutes of the session by the speaker. Now, I would like to hand over the session to the resource person, Mr. Swaminath S. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Megha ma'am. I would like to thank Gnanajyoti Evening Degree College for a wonderful opportunity. So provided on the relevant topic, which is as of now, so the impact of moratorium on financial markets. So I'll be concentrating only on financial markets. So how exactly it has an impact. So whether do we have a positive impact or negative impact, or how people will gonna feel. So let me share my PPT. Just a moment. So I need an access.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's visible.
Yes, sir.
PPT. Okay. So I request all the participants to note down queries if you have anything for that matter, so that at the end of the session we'll try to clarify it. So whenever there is a situation in terms of uncertainties, obviously a new term will gonna pop up. And currently we are in an outbreak with reference to COVID-19. And we have a new term called moratorium. So what exactly moratorium, or how exactly it will going to have an impact on financial markets? So we have to understand this. First of all, let me make it very clear to you. So this is one of the measures which were taken by RBI at the time of uncertainties in order to support bank and also in order to support customers, because both the parties are considered to be important for an economy. So impact of moratorium on financial markets. So we have as of now as a contemporary issue. Now, to begin with this, there is a concept called circular flow of money. So everyone knows of it, like how money comes in, how money goes out. So in case of an individual, for that matter, money comes in the form of a salary, or considered to be any type of an income which you can earn through wealth. And the money goes in terms of an expenses, which you can have various types or streams for that matter. Just take an example of a bank now. In case of a bank, circular flow of money happens in two ways. One is of inflow, another one is of outflow. Let's understand what exactly inflow and outflow. So inflow is the money which comes in, and the outflow is money which goes out from the bank. Now, when you are seeing on the left side, so you have various sources which comes into inflow picture. Let us understand one by one. So they have something called cash in hand and balances which they maintain with RBI. Remember, June 5th today, so there is a monetary policy review and the rates will gonna change today. But the earlier rate, if I talk about, it's CRR of 3%, SLR 18.5%, repo 4%, reverse repo is 3.35%. Now, rates are considered to be something different, but the question is, can I call this as a source? Yes, you can call this as a source, because when RBI reduces rate, CRR, if it is from 3 to 2.5%, 0.5 basis points worth of money will be available with banks so that they can use that money for the purpose of lending loans to others. Similarly, SLR cannot be used for the purpose of lending because you will going to maintain in terms of securities. And the important rate which we have to understand now is considered to be repo rate. So everyone must have to remember two terms in case of banks. One is marginal cost lending rate. Another one is external benchmark lending rate. Repo is called external benchmark lending rate. All the loans, whatever we have, everything is clubbed with repo now. So circular flow of money basically means inflow of money where cash in hand and balances with RBI matters a lot. Second one, banks have their own funds, either in the form of paid up capital or in the form of reserves, which they have accumulated from years, or undistributed profits. If they have, they can use it. And the important part comes to our customers, bank customers. So those who, get into public for that matter. So they deposit in the form of current account, they deposit in the form of RD account, SP account, FD, earned term deposits, and so on. These are all called as again the deposits which will comes into bank. Other source of funds such as bonds may be issued by banks, treasury bills may be issued in order to collect the money, cash certificates just like other certificates in terms of treasury, so they're going to collect the money from public. Money at call and short notice is one of the important term where you collect the money in case of an emergency for a period of 1 to 14 days. We call it as fortnight money, or we also call it as call market and notice money. So anything for that matter will works out well there. Apart from that, anything else. So it can be classified as investments that the bank has made outside, or loans and advances which they have taken from someone, or they may do bills discounting, lease finance, factoring, etc. All these are called as funds which are available either in the form of funds or in the form of fees. So these are all nothing but the inflow. Now, what banks will do, they invest these in terms of loans and advances. In the sense, loans and advances is an asset for a bank where they give personal loan, or they may gonna give you something called housing finance, line of credit in terms of cash credit for industries, individuals, or considered to be companies or whoever it is, and also cash credit. They can also do something called mortgages, guarantees, etc. for the purpose of getting the funds, giving the funds to them. Commercial lending in the form of short-term and long-term loans for SMEs, MSMEs, long-term financial institutions, or whatever it is. And finally, lending to government is one of the important part where most of the banks tries to purchase securities that were floated by government. Now my question to all of you is, if the investment made by, or if the borrowings taken up by so-and-so entities in the public, if they don't return the money, what will gonna happen to banks? That is the question. So whatever banks has given as a loan, so you have taken a loan, but you are not in a position to make the payment of money. If you don't make the payment of money, what will gonna happen to bank? Banks are definitely in crisis. So the question here is, if we don't pay, what will gonna happen? So with that question, let's try to understand what exactly the thing. Now, we had a question saying like, yes, if we don't pay, what will gonna happen, correct? You should understand why we are not in a position to pay. It's not because of a regular reason, it's because of something called uncertain situation, which is happening in the form of corona. So we don't have any kind of a solution like when we're going to get the vaccination, or when this lockdown period will get ended, whether everything will be in smooth direction or not, we are not sure. So because of this corona, what happened on March 24, 2020, so there was a nationwide lockdown. So nationwide lockdown means a complete lockdown of each and every activity. So when the entire nation gets locked down, you're going to have three questions which will going to come to your mind. So what will be the source of funds for an individual? Can an individual get a salary? If he is not working, obviously most of the companies are not ready to make the payment of money unless and until it comes to government for that matter. Even government also try to take off 25% or 50% of the salary, correct? If individuals doesn't have sources of funds, how they're gonna spend? First question. Second, when it comes to company or firms or organization, normally in order to earn, they're going to sell the products, correct? When they sell products, they must have to earn money, and that money will be distributed in various ways where the company will also develop, and also the shareholders or any other type of a stakeholder will also develop. Now the question is, if an individual doesn't have money, how he will gonna purchase? If he doesn't purchase, products and services which were manufactured by company may not be in a position to go out of the company just because nobody is ready to purchase. If companies are not in a position to have business transactions, what will gonna happen to government? Because for government, we will gonna get sources in the form of taxes. If taxes are not paid to government, how government will gonna manage? Now we have a big question. So lockdown is okay. Everything shuts down for a period of 2 to 3 months, fine. But what will gonna happen after that? That is what is the question, which is considered to be of the biggest mark. Now, if I have a question like that, suppose if I have taken a loan, what I'll do? I'll try to run away. Why? Because I don't have money. If I don't have money, obviously I'll try to run away, and I'll think of something like no income, no EMI. It's very simple. So if I don't have money, how can I be in a position to make the payment of money? But if I say so, obviously banks will be waiting for something called cash flows. Because as I told you, whenever bank issue loan to you, they will make a chart or considered to be table consists of 20 to 30 years loan inflows. Saying like whenever you take a 10 or 20 lakhs worth of loan, if you have taken a period of 20 years or 30 years for that matter, they divide equally. So it's an equated monthly installments. They already expected the future cash flows which will gonna come to their bank. But suddenly, if you say no income, no EMI, what will gonna happen? Obviously, banks will be in crisis. Now, two parties are in crisis. One is considered to be a customer, another one is considered to be a bank. When both of them are in crisis, there is an angel who will gonna come into picture, and that angel is RBI, Reserve Bank of India. So Reserve Bank of India will gonna have something called techniques or strategies to ease the situation. So ease the situation means in order to get the situation stable. So for that purpose, they have taken an initiative, and that initiative is called as moratorium. So moratorium is considered to be a strategy or considered to be a stringent action or anything you can call it as, in order to ease the situation which is happening at the economy. Because the economy cannot go gradually towards an upward stage always. So it may gonna have something called fluctuations. So in order to minimize that fluctuations or in order to have a stable economy, so there are certain measures which has to be taken up by regulatory organizations as well as government. And moratorium is one of the action taken up by RBI for the purpose of easing the situation happening between commercial banks as well as customers. Now, let us understand what exactly moratorium is. Now, if you just see here, moratorium is something like EMI holiday. So what is EMI holiday? Because whenever we talk about tax, we say tax holiday. Tax holiday means you are not making the payment of money, but definitely you will make it in future. Not in future, definitely you have to make a payment. In simple words, it's nothing but a period of time which will be allowed by banks or customers, those who have borrowed money, in order to transform their payment for a period of 3 months or 6 months or whatever. Now, for this purpose, the respected governor of RBI has taken decisions on 2 dates. The first date is March 27th, 2020, and the second date is May 22nd, 2020. So remember, all these decisions gonna happen on Monetary Policy Review Day, that is on Friday. Today also it is Friday, and there is a monetary policy review which will gonna happen today, and the decisions comes out in terms of either reduction in repo rate or reverse repo rate. Hope you're gonna follow that. Now, coming to the first date, March 27, 2020. So there was an immediate action or considered to be like a statement happened to be from the governor of RBI saying like we are extending an EMI payment which will gonna be there in each and every banks for that matter for a period of 3 months. That is from March 1st, 2020 to May 31, 2020. Now, if I say like I'm extending what? I'm extending something called principal or interest components with reference to a loan, or bullet repayments. Bullet repayments or balloon payments we used to call. Balloon payments in the sense, suddenly if I get a huge amount of cash inflow as an individual, what I do, I go for prepayment. So when you go for prepayment, it is called as bullet repayments, where you pay a huge sum of money in order to clear off your accounts. Bullet repayments, equated monthly installments, because most of the people who are in India now, maybe like Middle East or considered to be like whoever it is you call as, they have taken EMI because EMI is one of the easy option which is available for the purpose of purchasing any type of a product. So it is applicable for equated monthly installments, and also the most important part is personal loan. In personal loan, most of them will take, or they'll go for something called CC, credit card. So credit card dues also. So you mean to say March 27, 2020, so they have made a statement saying like moratorium is applicable on 4 components. And these are the 4 components where the extension is done from March 1st, 2022, May 31st, 2020. Now the question arises, whether do we have any kind of an impact from this or not? Yes, definitely we have an impact, but for those people who have a cash crunch, not for those people who have a cash. So those people who have money, they must have to make the payment of EMI on time. Why? Because if they make EMI payment on time, their payment schedule will not change. The amount of interest extra that the other customers must have to pay will not be payable. So when it comes to cash crunch for that matter, those people who are having cash crunches or liquidity problem, they may gonna postpone the payment. Yes, agree. But after making a postponement, one final day, you have to make the payment. There is nothing called waive off. So most of them, when they have, like given this indication, they thought that 3 months interest and principal amount, everything is waived off. No, it's not like that. So they are just extending the time. So which we're gonna understand in the next slide. And the second extension happened in the May 22nd, 2020 for another 3 months, from June 1 to August 31st. So there is an extension of 6 months totally with reference to moratorium for the purpose of easing the situation happening at the borrower side. Now, we have something called takeaways from moratorium, whether it is advantageous or disadvantageous or what exactly it is. We'll try to understand. These are the takeaways which you can have in case of moratorium. So we'll try to understand these in detail. It applies to all banks and non-banking financial companies, whether it is local banks or it is national or considered to be of international operating under RBI, but only for those people who stay in India, not for NR. It is applicable for a period of 6 months. There is a condition that those loans which are outstanding as on March 1st, 2020, in the sense your loan accounting must be outstanding from March 1st, 2020. If it is outstanding, then only these conditions are applicable, and not for those people who take loan now. No, it's not for them. It's for only those people who have taken loan before. And the second condition is very simple. So they have given something called decentralized measure to each and every bank, where banks, if they want, they can implement or they can switch over. Example, there are 3 options which are given by banks to each and every customer. First one is opt-in, second one opt-out, third one stable, in the sense no changes or automatic or whatever we call as. Let us understand one by one. Opt-in means where the customer logs into either bank branch or internet banking and says like, yes, I wanted to have moratorium. I wanted to extend the EMI payment for a period of 3 months or 6 months. Opt-out. Opt-out is one where bank will send a message to each and every customer saying like, do you wanted to have moratorium? If you don't say anything, they will gonna do it as an automatic one. So for that purpose, what you have to do, you have to tick on opt-out. So when you tick on opt-out, you are ready to make a payment in terms of EMI or any other payments with reference to banks. And there is something called automatic, the third strategy, where in case of automatic, all the banks will automatically, take the entire measure which used to happen in case of RBI to customers. In the sense, they'll not wait for opt-in or opt-out. They'll just implement the system into their bank and make each and every customers to work on it. So again, conditions are varied from bank to bank, and it is always on the basis of implementation by the committee. Remember, even if your outstanding loan amount is more than 5 crore for that matter, it goes in front of a committee, and the committee will take whether the actions needs to be taken with reference to creditworthiness and also need to be taken with reference to asset quality. Again, it's on the higher end in terms of understanding how exactly things can be done at bank to bank. Third one, very important one, it will not affect the borrower's credit rating. Remember, each and every person will going to have a rating. Rating is given by CIBIL, Credit Information Bureau of India Limited. It is highly responsible for the purpose of giving a rating to each and every customer. Even if you have taken credit card, you will going to have ratings. And banks will going to give you loan, personal loan, only on the basis of ratings given by CIBIL. Now the question is, it will not affect the borrower's credit rating. Remember, in case of banks or in case of credit card bill for that matter, if you are making your payment on time, your credit rating is very good. If you are trying to skip the payment from 1 month to another month, your ratings will gonna come down. Now what exactly rating is? It is the credit worthiness of the borrower. Whether the borrower is ready to make the payment of money on time or not. That is what is called as credit rating. So moratorium will never affect your credit rating. Your credit rating remains same. Example for credit rating will be, if your credit rating is more than 700 for that matter, you will get loan very easily. If your credit rating is less than 400, obviously you're going to have a problem. Banks will question your credit worthiness. Third point. Fourth one, moratorium will not affect the risk classification of loan. Remember, in case of NPA, so as we all know, March 2018, total NPA in the country was around 11.5%. And for the current year, March 2020, we had gone down to 8%, which is an unbelievable one. Why? Because it was around 9 lakh crores, I guess, 9 lakh crores. It came down to 7.27 lakh crores. In the sense, banks have made lots and lots of provisions. Banks have done lots and lots of cleaning with reference to balance sheet based on the regulations or orders given by RBI. But the question is, do you think extension of EMI, extension of moratorium period will not affect the NPA or will affect the NPA? As per my opinion for that matter, as of now, you cannot say anything because moratorium period is in action. So once it is over, by the end of August for that matter, we will get to know who will pay, who will not pay. If that is the case, there will be of risk classification happens to be at loan. Why? Because in case of NPA, we say standard, substandard, doubtful, and loss assets. These are all general classifications. But frankly speaking, whenever a loan account is having default in terms of principal as well as interest payment for a period of 90 days, we termed it as NPAs, non-performing assets. Now the point is, here moratorium will not affect any kind of a risk classification. It will remain same. In a sense, if it is standard loan, it will remain as standard loan. If it is substandard, it will remain as substandard. That means there will be of no changes whatsoever happens in terms of risk classification. Now, most of them thought there will be a change in existing terms and conditions of the loan. In the sense, if they have taken on the basis of fixed rate will change. Or if they have taken in terms of floating rate will gonna change. No. Whatever it is in terms of fixed rate will remain same. Whatever it is in terms of floating rate depends on repo rate, it will also change. Because as I told you, repo rate is one of the important benchmark rate which will be used for the purpose of analyzing the situation where do we gonna get lower rate or we're gonna get the higher rate. So no changes in your terms and conditions. Whenever you make a contract, maybe like 5 years back for that matter, same terms and conditions will remain. It will never gonna be changed. And this is one which you have to understand very well, because nobody thought that, so there will be a moratorium period which will be extended in banks. If your bank in your contract, if they have mentioned moratorium clause, then those clause and those conditions are applicable, are in action. Example, you have taken loan by the beginning of March, let us assume, and one of the bank have identified this trend and they said like, fine, so we're going to include moratorium clause into contract. If that is the case, whatever they have mentioned in the moratorium clause with reference to terms and conditions, those terms and conditions are applicable. In the sense, you are not bound by the regular or general condition given by RBI. You are bound by the contract happened on that day. Example, if it is on March, it happens to be from the March and it just continues over a period of time. So there will be of no more problems which will gonna happen in case if it is happened between the moratorium time. Next. So credit card dues are definitely available with reference to moratorium mechanism where it is deferred. In the sense, normally when it comes to credit card, you're going to have 1 month of time plus 15 grace days. Totally 45 days you're going to get for the purpose of making payment. But in case of moratorium mechanism, so you will going to have an extension for a period of 3 months or for a period of 6 months. Believe me, so I have read an article where most of them have made the payment of rent by using credit card. So they thought it will be extended for a period of 3 months or 6 months. Okay, that's fine. But once you make payment through credit card, the interest rate is very high. So when you are at the end of the moratorium period, you're going to have a very good bill, a huge bill, wherein which you have to pay all your salaries into credit card only. So credit card is one of the important things where the interest rate is considered to be very high. And the last one is I like the most because it is one of the way to tide over the economic fallout from COVID-19. So economic fallout in the sense, each and every person are falling out of pressures which are happening in the economy, whereby we are trying to cut out our expenses. Believe me, so whatever we used to be earlier, now we are not the same. So we cut shorted so many expenses. We are trying to trim our day-to-day expenses or day-to-day plans, whatever we used to happen. So what we are doing? We are doing something called hedging. We are hedging from cash crunch situation. Earlier, we had a huge amount of cash. We used to go everywhere. We used to spend. We used to have all kinds of chit-chats, party, everything. But as of now, we are not like that. Why? Because each and every person are having something called cash crunch. And now it's time to use a strategy of hedging. So now, how exactly repayment schedule happens after understanding takeaways? So repayment schedule happens in 3 ways. So understand the concept very clearly. So first strategy says make one-time payment, whatever the accrued interest on loan for a period of 3 months or 6 months at the end of moratorium period. Example, I have taken a loan worth of 10 lakhs and the total interest payment or considered to be principal payment all put together after 6 months, assume like after August, is 92,353 rupees. So what I'll do at one shot in August, after August, you will make the payment and you will clear off. That's called as make one-time payment option where you clear off everything at one shot. A previous slide I was talking about bullet payment, you remember. So it's a kind of a bullet payment where you make a huge amount of money in order to clear the balances. This is first option. Second option says add accrued interest, pay the same by increasing the amount of EMIs. Example, earlier I had an EMI of 25,000. Now I have taken moratorium period to an extent of 3 months, where whatever the interest which was accumulated will be distributed in the form of EMI. Example, earlier it was 25,000. Now it will be 26,000. In the sense, whatever the interest which accrued over a period of time will be distributed along with EMIs. So earlier amount is 25,000. Now it is considered to be 26,000. Next, add accrued interest, pay the same by increasing the tenure of loan. Example, you have 30 EMI schedules. You have 30 EMI schedules where you say, fine, I'll opt for moratorium period of 6 months. Whatever the interest expenses and principal amount are all put together, I will not make the payment immediately, nor my EMI should increase. it should happen in such a way that the tenure of loan should increase. In the sense, if it is 30 years, it goes to 31 years. So first option, make a bullet payment, clear of everything. Second option, you increase your EMI from 25,000 to 26,000. Third option, you increase the tenure of the loan from 30 years to 31 years. Either of these three options you have to choose in order to make your payment. But as per me, so believe if you have a money, make the payment so that all the alterations will never gonna be there and you will not get into any kind of a problem which will gonna happen in future. I hope the takeaways as well as repayment schedule are clear. So if you have any questions for that matter, at the end we'll try to clear it off. Moving on. So takeaways understood, but now we have something called challenges which we have to understand. Now the first question was asked by many of them, even in television, even in opinion poll. Is customer is responsible to pay interest on unpaid dues during moratorium period? The answer is clearly yes. So whatever unpaid dues which you have over a period of moratorium period, the interest is accumulated and you have to make the payment of money. It's not loan waiver. No, just like they used to give it to farmers, not like that will be given for each and every one. So you have to make the payment of money and your interest and the unpaid dues must be cleared once the moratorium period is over. And as I already discussed, you have three options: opt-in, opt-out, and automatic options, which will be given by bank. And it is the complete decision taken up by a borrower. And it's not considered to be bank who will going to force you. It is always considered to be a borrower who takes the decision based on his current financial position. And if you just see here, so this is a chart which I have taken from, which I have taken from one of the source from JM Financial Banks and NBFCs, where the number of customers who have opted for moratorium. So SBI stands around 20% only. And L&T Finance stands around 36%, Bajaj Finance 27%, and so on. Now, if you just see here, Bandhan Bank is the one, as well as M&M Financial Bank is the one, which is somewhat like more than 50%. So even yesterday also, I read an article with reference to SBI, and SBI says we are having an enough amount of financial sources and we are not bothered by any kind of a moratorium issues. Why? Because when more and more people goes for moratorium, cash inflow for banks will come down. So if cash comes down, automatically banks will not have money to repay back. That's why if you just see now, SB account, savings bank account rate is reduced to almost 3%. Almost 3% now. And FD rate is reduced to 5 to 6%. What about those people who are having, like above 60 years and 80 years, expecting a rate of 8%? When banks doesn't have money, how they're going to make the payment of money? So SBI was very clear that only few customers have opted for moratorium and we are okay. But the condition, the real condition and the real things will going to happen only after August. At that point of time, we'll get to know is the moratorium is successful or it has just added certain more problems to NPA, non-performing assets. So that's why the third point, which is clearly says, the real trouble is visible only after lifting moratorium to banks. Till then, you will never get to know, because the asset quality, whatever we have, may turn to be default. Example, if I think like out of 10 customers, 5 customers are very good before moratorium. Once the moratorium is over, they'll come to bank and they'll say, I'm bankrupt now. I don't have money to make the payment of money. If that is the case, what you will do? It's quite impossible to assess the situation unless and until the customer comes up and says, yes, I have cash crunch. So if cash crunch is, happen to be on that day, then banks must have to worry about something called provisioning. Now, what is provisioning? Out of profits, whatever they get every year, they create certain amount of money as a provision for the purpose of uncertainties which will going to happen in future or already happened. It's called writing off. So the real trouble is soon. If that is the case, what can be the solution which we can have during this moratorium period or uncertain situation because of COVID-19? So most of the articles suggest, and even I felt like one-time restructuring can happen. One-time restructuring in the sense a bullet payment. So where instead of going by the basic rate, basic interest rate, banks and customers will gonna have a negotiation. After negotiation, they'll come up with a picture saying like, this is the total amount which you have to pay once the moratorium is over. So if you say so, automatically customers will get to know how much they have to pay, and few customers can clear up very easily. And instead of this, if I again turn out to be a moratorium period for another 3 months for that matter, totally 9 months, if that is the case, the situations will get drastically changed. You have to think, is it easy or is it possible for each and every person who have taken loan before moratorium period to be paid after the moratorium period? Is it so easy? Do you think like all the borrowers who have taken loan, they have enough amount of cash? Because you have to understand, because of lockdown, everything shuts down completely. If that is the case, those people doesn't have money. How they're gonna arrange? How they're gonna make the payment of money? Again, it's considered to be a big question in front of all. So now you should think, you should understand how you will gonna react to this. Do you think like moratorium is good or moratorium is bad, or it is highly impactful, less impactful? I'm leaving the decisions to you so that at the end, you can also evaluate, you can also think whether the moratorium has a positive impact or a negative impact. Now, we'll see how exactly it has an impact on financial markets. Believe me, financial markets means it's not only like, stock market. So it is more than that. Financial market comprises of variety: bond market, stock market, commodity market, foreign exchange market, and so on. But for the sake of understanding, so what I have taken is I have taken financial markets in that specific stock market with reference to BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange. So we'll see whether do we have a positive impact or we have a negative impact. So what I did is like I have taken a data directly from Sensex. It's one of the important index which will always vary because of sensitivities which will gonna happen in future. So we will see whether do we have a positive impact or negative impact with a simple analysis, so that everyone get to know whether moratorium is exactly facilitated Hello. Am I audible?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
fine. Fine. Okay. So we'll see whether the impact is positive or negative. We'll go by the data now. So this is what the data which I have captured from Sensex from 23rd March to 7th April. Because the statement was made on 27th March. Just the screen. So just have a look here. It was made on 27th March. So I just wanted to know the trend, what it used to be earlier before 27th March. What was the trend after 27th March? So if you just observe here, already we had a big crisis from 23rd. It was recovered to us, to an extent of 2035 points. But on the day of 27th, because of moratorium, so the statement was made by RBI to extend the moratorium first for the period of 3 months. There was a change in value to an extent of 932.22. In terms of Sensex, for that matter, 932 points were down. It was almost like 3%. So 3% means it's not in terms of like thousands of money. It will be in terms of lakhs and crores. Approximately 5 to 6 lakh crores been erased from the economy, in a sense like with reference to stock market, for that matter, market capitalization we used to call. And the trend was continued after 27th also. On 30th, again, we had a reduction in Sensex points to an extent of 786, and the trend continued over a period of time. If you just see 1st April and 3rd April. So many of you might say, sir, moratorium may not be the reason. Yes, obviously it may not be the reason, but it is one of the reason to be. Now, if you just see on the right side, you're going to have, the top reasons happens to be in case of like reduction in points with reference to Sensex. So the first reason everyone knows that there is a, high tensions which is going on between US and China with reference to marking themselves as you are the reason for, coronavirus and all. Again, it's considered an issue where it is just going above the countries. And the second point is very important, fear of credit rating agencies. Remember, those people who have money, which we call as foreign portfolio, foreign direct investments, foreign portfolio investors, NRIs, high net worth individuals, all those people give preference for credit ratings. As I was talking about CIBIL, CIBIL gives ratings for an individual. Just like that, ICRA, CRISIL, CARE, Fitch Ratings, Standard & Poor, they give ratings for bonds, they give ratings for companies, they give ratings for country. Now, if you just see the situation with reference to GDP, it is gradually decreasing over a period of time. All the credit rating agencies are already started downgrading the performance of India with reference to credit rating. Meanwhile, we have this outbreak, and because of the outbreak, no production. Because of no production for that matter, availability of goods are not at all there, and automatically you have something called crunchy situations in case of economy, where you cannot be in a position to take any kind of a decision. If that is the case, what credit rating agencies will do? They will downgrade your ratings from A to B, B to C. I'm just giving an example to you. So if they downgrade, what will going to happen? Automatically, it will have a direct impact on stock market. Third one, lockdown, we thought it will be there only for a period of 15 days. But even till today, lockdown exists in many states up to June 30th. That means lockdown extension is always a problem for an economy. It will never be a good thing for an economy. Remember, lockdown shuts everything. And no vaccination till now. So the corona outbreak is just moving on ahead. And even after lockdown, which was cut shorted in Karnataka for that matter, so still we have more cases and no vaccination. And we are not sure when things will go to saturation level. So we are not sure with it. And macro level data, again, it is one of the worry thing for market is unemployment rate. So the unemployment rate is increasing over a period of time. But believe me, there is an employment rate which is happening on the other side in terms of, like movement of people from one side to another side. Because, most of the people who used to work in Bangalore for that matter, now they have moved back to their original places. Thereby, employment opportunities are created at, micro level. And also, yesterday there was an article with reference to education sector, where almost 12,000 to 13,000 new jobs were created in terms of Byju's, Academy Learning, Simply Learn, all these sites. So they are offering a very good amount of, like job opportunities for people, those who have a knowledge. So that means ultimately, those people who have a knowledge, they can get into these agencies for the purpose of e-content development, online classes, all these are happening. Believe me, this webinar is also online. We are meeting online now. So that means there is a huge opportunity now for all the people in order to get into something which is unexplored. And finally, the reason is moratorium, which we already know. Banks and, for NBFCs, it was extended. And because of that, we had so many problems which will gonna happen in future, and we are witnessing as of now as well. So what I'm trying to say is like, from 23rd March to 7th April, if I look at the data, and this data can be looked in terms of minute also. So there is a platform called Zerodha, which provides minute-to-minute data. And if I look at the minute-to-minute data, there was a huge impact given by moratorium on financial markets, where people had suffered with their money. They have invested their money and they lost the value now. So again, market is getting recovered. So let's see how it will gonna happen in future. So if you just observe the chart now, just marking it here. So just see here, 26th, the situation was good. It was almost like in 30,000 level. And you have open and close prices, both are here. But 27th March here, 27th March, there is a sharp decline. There is a sharp decline with prices, and this has happened because of moratorium. If you just look at on minute to minute basis, there is a sharp decline. People have taken their money back and they thought this might be one of the tragedies which will going to happen in Indian economy. So again, it just continued over a period of time and it was just gradually decreasing from this point to here. So you have, like a graph which will just depict what exactly the situation happened over a period of time. Okay. Now, if I wanted to analyze this in terms of candlestick, so now here you have a graphical representation. Observe here, this is 26th of March. 26th of March. There is a red box here. The red box represents bearish and the green box represents bullish. This is a candlestick. On the right side, you have. So whenever there is a bearish trend, automatically it represents in red. And whenever there is a bullish trend, it represents in terms of green. If you just observe here, 26th, the situation was fine. But 27th, so it's in reddish. That means there is a bullish trend happened because of that statement. And it just got continued over a period of time. If you just observe here, on 30th, again, the market fell down. There was a bit of recovery. And again, the market fell down, not only because of moratorium, but because of other reasons which I have stated earlier. So the trend was just continued over a period of time. And if you wanted to analyze how exactly candlestick analysis works, so here it is. In case of candlestick analysis, so this is called as bullish or considered to be like, candlestick with bullish trend, candlestick with bearish trend, where you have 4 components: open, close, high, low. If you just observe the middle one, the picture, it explains clearly. So whenever there is an open price, it will gonna happen here. It will gonna start from here. So it closes here. In the sense, the point above is considered to be a close, but anything goes above and below open and high prices, automatically it will be represented as high and low. So if you just see here, opening price was 62. Closing price at the end of 3:30 is 67. But during the day, it has reached 70 as the highest price, 58 as the lowest price. This is for what? This is for bullish trend, where the prices have been increased. And if you just see here, it's a bearish one. Bearish one in the sense, open price will not be here. Open price will be here. Reverse of this, where open price will be 62. Closing price will be 57 or 58 like that. So if that is the case, we call this as bearish trend. Again, it's a candlestick analysis which you have to go in detail. Now, so how many more minutes I have? Can you please confirm so that I can plan the remaining thing?
Hello.
Yeah. Tell me, ma'am.
No, I think you can continue, sir. We have
No
till
problem,
12:30. Right? Yeah, you can continue, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Another 20 minutes, I think you can continue.
Sure. Okay. Yes. So this is more of like candlestick analysis with reference to the data which happened in between the term of like, March to April. Now, so the second set of data happened to be on 22nd May. Now, if we see the trend is a bit different. So this data I have collected from 18th May to 29th May, because as I told you, the situation was happened on 22nd May 2020. Immediately after the extension of moratorium, there was a bit of low with reference to stock market, where the performance is not that much which we used to compare with earlier. In the sense, whatever happened in case of March didn't happen in the same volume with reference to May. In a sense, people took it, but market took it in a negative way only. In the sense, market couldn't be in a position to take it as a positive measure. Why? Because as I told you, as and when the moratorium increases, as and when the period increases, automatically there is a chance of questioning on quality of asset and also provisioning requirement, which will going to increase in future. So always we have to remember, as an individual, we think that yes, it will going to help. But as a market, it always works on the concept of constructive measures. So loan waiver or considered to be moratorium extension or any other type of measures which will gonna help all put together for that matter may not gonna help the market, because market is too sensitive, always works on the concept of development. So, but if the country is considered to be strong enough, if we capable of, like getting back to the normal condition or economy for that matter, then stock market will gonna go down for a period, then again it will gonna come back. We call it as support and resistance level. Again, it's on the other end. So, but the trend here is considered to be a bit negative, but it just survived over a period of time. And again, I'll specify, it may not be one of the reason, because there are certain other reasons which are already clubbed with our economy. So this is a data which shows on 22nd May how exactly things had happened. So where we had a small correction with and the candlestick analysis. So here I was talking about something called Zerodha, right? So it talks about data in terms of minute also. Now just observe here, 26th of May. So I have certain amount of data here where it shows the negative one. Red boxes. The red boxes represents the bearish trend, but the market could be in a position to take off again. And now we are having a good situation, but not the situation which we used to have earlier, because we have crossed around 40,000 in case of Sensex, but now still we are in 34,000 to 35,000 case. So now the question arises for everyone, what is you thinking about something called moratorium? Before moratorium, during moratorium, and after moratorium. Now, if you ask me, like what was the situation which you can think before moratorium? So before moratorium, let me make things very clear to you. We had huge issues with reference to GDP, with reference to production happening at India, with reference to all macroeconomic factors which will gonna influence our country. Based on that, if I say like moratorium, so moratorium was not at all a concept known to everyone. It was just introduced because of a situation happens to be in India. So before a moratorium also, the condition was not at all considered to be stable. During moratorium, you should never ask. Why? Because you also know how exactly during moratorium period, people used to suffer. So people doesn't have money for the purpose of taking care of themselves, because there are no salary. There are no, any kind of an income which they can fetch over a period of time. It was completely a shock for each and every person. And during moratorium, they'll think like how to make a payment in future, because they have taken the opportunity, fine. After taking the opportunity, how you will going to utilize this opportunity in order to make the payment in future. Now, again, the question comes, after moratorium, what? How will I get all the financial resources on time? Is it possible for me to make the payment of money? So this is a thinking which will gonna happen from individual. But when it comes to banks, earlier also banks were having huge amount of NPA. During moratorium, no money at all. After moratorium, we are expecting customers will come and make the payment of money. So the situation again, it is considered to be unstable. So what about government? Government also same. We had huge amount of natural calamities. Government has invested lots and lots of money on that. Before moratorium also same situation. During moratorium, complete lockdown, salary cut, everything had happened. After moratorium, we are not sure whether the economy will boom or not. Again, most of them will say, yes, we'll come back to the normal situation. But most of the economists are having an opinion even till today that it takes time. Because, so we have experienced something which is, unexpected or uncertain in nature. In a similar way, when it comes to financial markets, before moratorium, I can say, yes, we were in a good motion, but due to other factors, example, the trade war happening between the countries and the negotiations happening between the countries may gonna have an impact, but the impact was not much. And always remember, share market expects something surprising. That surprising may gonna happen in terms of either positive or negative, because in case of share market, even if it happens in positive, people make money. Even if it happens in negative also, people make money. So there are both the ends for that matter. So during moratorium, yes, we had a huge amount of shocks with reference to stock market. So index, BankX or Nifty BankX, all those index came down to a drastic level. And after moratorium, once the extension is over, then what? Again, the question here is whether the stock market will boom or not. So if we just see the situation from past 3 to 4 days, we are at a good space where we are trying to have a very good momentum. But this momentum will gonna continue or not, we are not sure, because on one side, so the cases of corona is increasing, and on the other side, people are coming out of the home for the purpose of doing things, right? So on both the sides, there is an upward trend, and we are not sure how things will gonna pop up in future. Again, it's a big question in terms of financial markets, whether do we have a good boom in over a period of time, or we may gonna get into corrections again. So the impact on a whole, in order to conclude, I can say impact is very much indeed it was there in terms of a points, but the impact can be taken positively and also can be taken negatively. In the sense, few people who have a cash crunch, they took it very positively. Few people who doesn't had any kind of a cash crunch, they made the payment of money. So it all depends on the decision of the borrowers, how they have taken it and how they have used it. With reference to financial markets, yes, definitely it was a negative news, because as I told you, market looks at constructive things in future. It always visionized something good in future. So all these measures may gonna help everyone, but may not gonna help market, because market is too sensitive. So with that, I'll try to conclude the things, because as I told you, so it's not easy to conclude any point and until if there is a discussions. Now it's time for everyone to have your questions. Whatever it is from my side, to the best possible extent, I'll try to give an answer. Thank you. Thanks, and thanks to Gnanajyoti Evening College for the opportunity.
Participants, if you have any questions, please message in the chat box so that sir will clarify that.
Yeah, I have few questions here. Okay. Divya, yes. How post-moratorium could affect the SP account FDs with respect to deposits and interest rates? Today, you have to see the news, because today there is a monetary policy review. Today, they're gonna again change the rates, or they may gonna go for stable rate or whatever it is. It depends again, the decision of governor. So he will gonna have a decision whether to increase the repo rate or decrease the repo rate. But as of now, the situation is you will gonna decrease the repo rate. If repo rate is decreased, interest rates on housing loan will decrease. If interest rates on housing loan decreases, it will have a direct impact on SP account. SP account rate will also decrease. FD account rate will also decrease. Hope I answered. Sir, because of moratorium in case of NPA increases, is there any impact on recapitalization scheme undertaken by government? Yes. So when you go for recapitalization, government definitely do that, but recapitalization is not happened to the pace which we expected. So infusion of capital is not that much. Remember, we are still in Basel II and we have to get into Basel III. In order to get into Basel III only, an approximate of 5 to 6 lakh crores are required. So when it comes to NPA provisioning for that matter, whenever you clean your balance sheet, obviously you get variety of loan accounts which will gonna come into picture. Still, we don't have that much of infusion of capital, recapitalization taken up by government. So still it is in this state. After moratorium by Maruti, after moratorium, Indian economy becomes normal position or not? I'm not sure, because as I told you, Indian economy is having a capacity to come back, no doubt in that. But the thing is, it takes certain amount of time. That certain amount of time is not stable. We don't know when it will be, but only thing is everyone must have to work very hard as an individual, we're going to have a responsibility. If those responsibilities are filled, automatically we can also get into, a very good perspective of a country. Yeah, next. Okay. So I have a question from one participant. Will the borrower have to pay interest on interest amount and principal amount, or just the remaining amount? No. See here, you have to make the payment of your principal as well as interest as it is already been scheduled. So if you don't pay, definitely there will be an interest on it, and that interest must have to be paid by borrower only. So there will be of no changes in that. Okay, what will be the impact on defaulting borrowers? So defaulting borrowers, again, so case will be filed against them, or there will be of, as I told you, restructuring. So there will be of negotiation happens with borrowers, and they say like, yes, fine. So we're going to come to a conclusion with this amount and we'll make the payment of money. But whenever there is a negotiation, it is a loss for bank. Remember that, because banks were supposed to get so much of money. Because of a default situation, banks will agree for less amount of money, and even borrower also make the payment of money. So borrowers, again, if they go for default, it's a huge problem for banks. Okay, pharma sector has performed well during this crisis. Yes. Is it good to invest in pharma stocks now? Okay, so see, I'm telling you, don't ever go behind. Shorter movement happens with reference to stock market. So as of now, pharma stocks are performing good, fine. But look at the future. Do you think Corona will be there for another 5 years? If so, go for pharma. Otherwise, you think about something in future. Example, I was talking about online classes. This online classes will go for further more years now. So believe it or not, because it is one of the criteria for NAC also. So invest on Byju's stocks, invest on Academy. So like this. So identify certain sectors which is performing over a period of time. Another example which I wanted to give you is 5G. Now we are in 4G. Next we're gonna get 5G. Those companies which are ready to float 5G technology, you can invest on that. But it's a future which will gonna happen. Is it this right time to invest on gold for investment purpose? Yeah, you can invest, but the rate is too high now. If you are going behind gold for that matter, it's almost crossed 47,000. So you can invest, but you are not sure, because once the economy gets up, once the economy is in normal position, people will start investing on stock market. If they start investing on stock market, it will have an impact on your gold, and the returns may gonna come down. Instead of that, go for something called sovereign bonds, where you get investment on gold and also 2.5% interest. Would it be correct? Okay. Would it be correct to argue that restructuring would solve the potential NPAs problem, where it is observed that restructuring is positively associated with NPA? See, that's actually an option. That's not a solution. Actually speaking, if everyone pays very well, automatically there will be of no restructuring, nothing will gonna happen. But when it comes to an option, restructuring is one of the option. Even in case of moratorium for that matter, if people are ready to make the payment of money after moratorium, restructuring will never arise. So if you have an option, then you can take it if it is so. But it is not positively associated with NPA. No, it's not like that. So it is only an option. If you want, you can have that, or else you can leave it. Okay. Your opinion, what if this moratorium continues for a long time? No, I don't think so, because banks are already pressurized, so they are having huge amount of NPA to provision. More often when this moratorium stops on August, so we'll see the data in September, how exactly things will gonna happen, and it takes certain amount of time. And I think moratorium, if it is continued, it will be a problem. Which is a better option according to you, sir? Credit card EMI loan or bank loan in this situation? Don't go for credit card, because credit card or personal loan charges are higher compared to that of a bank loan. But when it comes to bank loan for that matter, again, specifically for what? Are you taking bank loan for the purpose of construction, or you are taking bank loan for the purpose of education, or what? It again depends. But credit card loan is considered, credit card payments or credit card bill is considered to be very high because of interest rates, which is very high. How banks will survive with no EMI and less deposits from public and also return on investment? Okay, good question. Now, so banks, if they don't have EMI, they can use the sources which I have mentioned in the second slide. And those sources will be created by RBI in terms of reduction in CRR. Example, CRR as of now is considered to be 3%. If they reduce that to 0.5 basis, maybe to an extent of 2.5, there will be an availability of more than 50,000 to 60,000 crores for banks. So there are various ways wherein which they can be in a position to get the deposits from different, maybe like capital infusion, somebody was talking about, that can be done by government also. Again, it's on the higher end, but as of now, I think all the banks are having sufficient amount of deposits. That's for sure. First question, moratorium which implemented by government was fair enough, or should it not be implemented? See, unless and until you take certain decisions, you will never get to know whether it is good or not. As I told you, because of an uncertain situations, we are coming up with a new term called moratorium, because earlier nobody were heard of what exactly moratorium is. So I cannot say it's not fair or it's fair. It depends on how you take. See, moratorium is with a good intention to help borrowers who have taken loan because they don't have the money. Few companies are not at all making the payment of salary also. If that is the case, how they pay? So this is one of the good opportunity provided to borrowers. But if you see on the other side, banks are having huge amount of problem. Why? Because they are not getting the money. Inflow is not happening. When inflow is not happening, how they're going to make the payment of interest to you? That's again a question. With this moratorium, have its effect on educational loan. If banks are having cash crunch situation, they might gonna have problem with reference to education loan. But as of now, I think, when I inquired with banks, they're not in a position to give educational loans very easily. They're not giving at all. So they're trying to ask so many documents and all. And even if you have planned for, travel to other countries, it's better you should not. You be in India only, that's better. Can you please share your PPT with us? Yes, it will be shared. Is there any other options apart from moratorium to overcome this issue of economy so that economy will be better? The best option is, yes, again, you have to stay at home. Second thing, when you are staying at home, make sure that you are going to have a concept of crisp income with crisp expenses. In the sense, you are trying to standardize your income and expenses. When you try to standardize your income and expenses, it will gonna give you discipline. Through that discipline, over a period of time, you can change things. But apart from moratorium, so if there are any other chances, then I can say, things which might gonna happen in terms of restructuring, that is the one. And apart from that, it's our responsibility that we have to make the payment of money. So apart from that, nothing. So because, I don't believe on a concept like, government will give money to each and every individual. No, it's not possible at all. How about investing on gold? Yes, you can do that. Is moratorium plays a vital role on stock market? It's not a vital role. It is one of the sensitive news which has created shocks in stock market. See, I'm not telling moratorium itself is the reason. Moratorium is one of the reason which will gonna influence. It's like when you're in stress, you have a stress because of two reasons. Apart from that, you're gonna get one more reason where the stress level will increase. It's like that. So it plays a role, but not the vital role which you can think. One quick question: if we pay EMI regularly, will there be any impact or impact? No impact. On what? So I'm not clear with that question. So will there be any impact or no impact? On what? Is it on your financial position or with the country? So if it is on your financial position, you better know, because if you have money, if you make the payment of money, everything gets cleared within the shortest span of time, and you will feel happy. So instead of worrying about rescheduling plans and all, and to a country, if you make the payment of EMI on time, banks will survive, country will also survive.
Sir, I think you can give your mail ID so that the
Fine.
questions can be answered.
Yeah. So I'm
Because the
happy
time
to
is
see so
running
many
out.
questions. Okay, fine, no problem.
The topic is so interesting. So, okay.
Yeah.
I think the session was very knowledgeable to all.
Sure. Thank you.
The time to say end of the session. I
Yeah.
hope the session was knowledgeable. It's my duty to thank our management, who was a back support for us for the today's session, and our beloved principal, and all the participants who actively participated, and the speaker of the session, Mr. Swaminathan sir, and all my dear colleagues. It is not the end for today, but it's a beginning for the session. You have come with a lot of questions, and we are very happy that the topic is so informative and very, what do you say, discussing topic, discussion topic. So some people are asking that for the what is that, forms, fill up forms. So it will be given tomorrow after the session. You have to attend both the sessions. Then only the feedback forms will be sent to your mail IDs, respective mail IDs. So I thank everyone. So tomorrow's session will be starting at 11 o'clock by Manjunath sir. So thank you, sir. Thank you. It was a very, very
Thank you very
informative
much.
session. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to have you as
Thank
a
you.
speaker.
Thank you,
One
ma'am. Thank you so much. I thank each and everyone. So coordinators, you have taken care very well, and it was on time. So that's most important, because during this lockdown, everything should happen on time, no? So this webinar also happened on time. It's because of the coordinators as well as the college. I thank principal and all the coordinators along with the college for a wonderful opportunity. Thank you again.
Okay, sir.
Thank you,
The PPT will be shared to your respective mail IDs.
sir. If you give your mail ID, they can answer you can answer the
Yeah.
questions, sir.
So I'll all panelists and attendees, I'll just type here.
Sir.
I hope all panelists and attendees have sent a mail. It's sam1988swe@gmail.com. You can post your queries. I'll be happy to share my opinion and also, to a best possible extent, solution for the problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
So both the session video and PPT will be sent to your respective mail IDs.
Tomorrow's this thing will be sent the Zoom ID to everyone so that you can attend the sessions for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.